Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cityside. Happy Father's Day to all the beautiful fathers out there. Celebrating you, acknowledging you. Thank you for your love. Where I am, God is, and where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is, and where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Oh, where I live, beauty's flowing free in and out and through me. As me, where I doubt, God is the faith in me, and where I cry, God is the comfort there. Oh, and where I seek, God is the answer, here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak truth is, and where I work, love is my career. Oh, and where I play, God is playing boldly in and out and through me. As me and as you, as me and as you. Joy is, life is, love is, God is. God is, yes. Love is joy, love God, hope, peace, life, love is. God is. Take a nice deep breath, Cityside. Drink that in. God is, love is, life is, joy is. We are. So now we're going to get you moving a little bit. This is called an acoustic groove, friends. An acoustic groove of some Mary J. Blige. Always been a fan of hers. Hey, come on, yeah. Oh, woo. Yeah, come on now. Yes, Amy Daniels, Rev Daniels in the house giving me some claps. Come on. If If you've been stressing, you've been hurting, it's gonna be alright. I know times get so hard, but not tonight. I know you'll cry. I know just what you came for. Get up on the dance floor, or wherever you are, while the DJ's breaking it down. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. All I wanna do is get in touch with you. To be real, how you feel, everybody goes through things sometimes. So let your mind just be free. Anything you wanna be. But whatever you do, let the music get to you. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but you're gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so. We gon' tear it up, listen to the morning lights. Oh, something that's gonna soothe your mind. Baby, let your body free. Anything you wanna be, just let go and you'll see. It's time to break through. City Side will take you there. Get your hands in the air and let your heart unfold. A little something for your soul, and it feels so good. I got the whole world saying how I feel so good. It's a gift God given. I'm a ribbon in the sky, so fly. I'm a ride like a queen, so high, to inspire you and open you all at the top. Spirit and giving, that's what we came to do. A force of love to see all things through. Unity and community, united we stand. Raise a fist, take a knee, believe what we can do. Together we stand in this beautiful truth. Come on. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna take you and take you where it feels so good. Ain't no telling what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. One more. Ain't no telling what we're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. Ain't no telling what we're gonna do, but I'm gonna break through and take you where it feels so good. Take you there, City Side. Morning, morning, morning.
Thank you, Tiffany and Gray, just getting us in the mood, getting us our energy moving and flowing. Thank you. Good morning, Cityside. Welcome to our Sunday morning service and celebration. My name is Reverend Judy Randiger-Meza, and I'll be your host this morning. So, welcome to those in the room. I can't tell you what a joy it is to see all of your faces and your smiles. It fills me with such joy. It's been a long time. So welcome to you and to all of our live streamers. It's always great that we can be connected in so many different ways. And so on this Sunday, we do honor fathers, those biological fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, and all those who have functioned in a role of father, mentoring, supporting, guiding others. And we also honor the relationships we have to fathers, whether they have been smooth and easy or less so. We just honor them all. And also fathers here present and those no longer with us. So thank you for being with us today. Each week, you can join us in person, or you can join us online by going to our website and clicking the Watch Online button in the header. We are fully reopened and reservations are no longer necessary, so please consider joining us in person. We'd love to see these seats filled. We are a social media-friendly community, and we appreciate everyone helping us out, getting and spread the word about Cityside. Okay, I've got to back up. Be sure to check us out on the online Sunday Bulletin on the homepage of our website. There you will be able to follow along with today's service and see the lyrics, affirmations, links to registrations, and other important information. So now we can go on to being a social media friendly community. And we really appreciate everyone helping us spread the word about Cityside. You can share on the live stream link or check in on Facebook to let people know that you are here, or any of your favorite social media platforms. At Cityside, we are about practical spirituality that you can use to create the life that you want. We embrace new thought and wisdom teachings and are affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. We honor all paths and we practice oneness. What we are really about is providing a supportive community where you can explore your own spiritual path and connect to the spirit and wisdom within you. So today, our own licensed spiritual practitioner, Krista Bremberg, is holding vigil today remotely. And this is a meditative state that is holding the space for us to have a truly transformative experience here in service today. Our June theme is divine reciprocity, strengthening your use of mental equivalence. And today, Reverend Amy shares her message, change your mind and keep it changed. So I'm really looking forward to this message today, because I don't know about you, but sometimes my mind is the equivalent of that kid standing in right field waiting for the ball to come to him, but instead is looking at the butterfly and the bees and the birds and not really holding on to one specific thing. And I can do that in my mind. And so no wonder if I'm like that what outpictures is a little muddled. So I'm really interested in hearing what Amy has to say. So now, if you will, please join me in speaking aloud our vision and mission statement. It is in the online Sunday Bulletin, and it will appear on the screen for our live streamers. So say it with me, please. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature.
Hello, good morning. I have an important question. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? And the answer is, of course, 10 tickles. That's your dad joke for this morning. Happy Father's Day. I'm John Adams. I'm a community member and a practitioner, and I'm here to do the reading, meditation, and prayer. So today's reading is from Mental Equivalence by Emmett Fox. Fantastic little book. And here's our reading that Amy selected for us today. It is your bounden duty to demonstrate. And in order to do so successfully, you need to know why you should do so. Why should you demonstrate at all? Some people say, since God is all and everything is perfect, why should I seek to demonstrate his law? Because you have to prove the harmony of being in your own life. Of course, we are here on earth to express God, and true expression is what we call demonstration, because it demonstrates the law of being. You demonstrate the state of your mind at any given time. Your experience in the outer is what you really think in the inner. Harmonious thoughts means harmonious experiences. Fear thought or anger thought means suffering or frustration. If you want to change your life, if you want to be healthier, happier, younger, and more prosperous, above all, if you want to get nearer to God, you must change your thought and keep it changed. It's beautiful words, beautiful thoughts. So just invite you to take a breath with me and just a moment of silence, a moment of meditation, a moment of just going within and touching into that inner love, that inner light, that inner life that is always present. How good it is just to be in the silence with you this morning. This beautiful, bountiful community, this community of love. And I just know this love is all there is. It is the source of all that is. It is this thing, the word I use is God. You can use whatever word works for you. And I know that I am one with this thing called God. I am one with love in all aspects, as wholeness, as happiness, as joy, as peace, as abundance. And knowing this truth for myself, I can see and know this truth for each person in this community. Just see and know them in their oneness as one with love, as one with joy, as one with abundance, as one with wholeness, divine intelligence, divine peace. And so from this place of oneness, I just say a blessing upon all who are gathered together today. I just know and affirm that there is love. And love is showing up in ways expected and unexpected for each and every single person. I just say a blessing upon our Reverend Amy as she delivers her talk today, knowing that she is a channel for this love to express through her, as her. Knowing her love is just expressing out through to this beautiful community. And I know that as she does this, it is reciprocated and she receives love back. Just a blessing upon all the hearts and hands who make today possible, knowing that in their service they are truly blessed. This is a time of joy. This is a time of great happiness. This is a time of great expressing of this joy and happiness. And so I claim and know this for each and every single person. I know this for our Cityside community. I call it all good, and so it is.
Thank you, John. And I do have to say, those of you joining us online, you may be late to the game, but he had a sweet little joke that he shared with us about an octopus. And recently, I have watched this movie twice, but if you have not seen My Octopus Teacher on Netflix, it will change your perspective on a lot of things. And I used to love to eat octopus. I will never eat another octopus after watching this, but the compassion and the beauty of nature and those animals, it's pretty incredible. So I highly recommend that. All right, for our feature today, this is a song I sing every Father's Day. It's become a tradition. And prior to me singing it, I recall inviting a very dear friend of mine who's no longer with us, Mr. Mark Ford. He sang this at Bodie. He was in the, he toured with Rent. So he was this amazing baritone voice that was delicious and warm, and every time he opened his mouth, it brought chills to my world and emotions to the surface. So not only do I sing this every Father's Day, but I dedicate it to Mark Ford. Every generation blames the one before, and all of their frustrations come beating on your door. I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and his fears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Crumpled bits of paper filled with imperfect thought, stilted conversations. I'm afraid that's all we've got. You say you just don't see it. He says it's perfect sense. You just can't get agreement in this present tense. We all talk a different language, talking in defense. Say it loud. When we die, it's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. So we open up a quarrel between the present and the past. We only sacrifice the future. It's the bitterness that lasts. So don't yield to the fortunes you sometimes see as fate. It may have a new perspective on a different day. And if you don't give up, you don't give in, you may just be okay. Say it loud, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away. I didn't get to tell him all the things I had to say. I thought I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Sing it with me. Say it loud, say it clear. We can listen as well as you hear. It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. Say it loud, come on, say it loud.
Say it clear.
Won't you say it clear? Yeah.
You can
listen as
well
as you hear. It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away. I didn't get to tell him all the things I had to say. I think I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years.
Ooh,
little hard to talk after that song, can I just say? I lost my dad when I was 24. So I've lived a lot longer of my life without him than I did with him. And that song always gets to me a little bit when I hear it. But it's a beautiful song, and it also speaks to all the ways that our relationships can be complicated with our parents, right? And that could be a whole talk in itself, that song. And next month we're going to talk about forgiveness, so we might cover some of that then. But that's not what we're talking about today. So I got to shake that off, okay? So, anybody ever see the movie Moonstruck? Okay, we watched that movie again Friday night. If you've never seen that movie, it's a great movie. It's a little over the top. But Cher's in that movie, and her story in the movie is, I got no luck. And the reason she had no luck is because she was married to the love of her life, and he got hit by, I think, a bus, and he died. So she was living in this story of I got no luck. You know, she was running around dressed all kind of frumpy, and she just really thought nothing good would ever happen for her. And so this guy she was seeing proposed to her, Johnny Camerari. You gotta love the names in that movie too. And her mom says, do you love him? And she says, no, but he's a good man. So Johnny's going to visit his mom in Italy on her deathbed. And he says, will you go visit my brother Ronnie? And, you know, we're not speaking to each other. And I won't get into that whole story, but go visit my brother Ronnie and invite him to our wedding. So she goes and visits Ronnie, and at first they're not getting along very well, but then they fall in love with each other. But she says to him, you know, I got no luck, so I am still going to marry your brother. And he says, just grant me this one wish. Grant me this one wish that you will come to the opera with me. And I can have one night with my favorite opera, La Bohème, and the woman that I love, the two things that I love the most. And so she says yes. And so she's walking home from his house because she spent the night, okay? Just totally blowing the show for you here. But, and she decides to stop and get her hair done because her hair was turning gray, and she got it dyed, and she got her nails done, and she went and bought this really beautiful red strapless dress with these beautiful red blingy shoes. And you see her go home, and she's trying all these things on, drinking a glass of wine. And then she goes and meets him, and it's a young Nicolas Cage, just to give you the visual. So Cher and Nicolas Cage, two very attractive people. And she walks up, and she looks beautiful. She looks like she's been transformed. And, you know, the point of my sharing this story is she didn't believe anything else was possible for her. But then she got a glimpse of something else. And she started to try it on. And then her life changed. There was a new possibility. Florence Scovel Shinn says we should prepare for the thing that we're asking for. And that's really what a mental equivalent is, which is what we're talking about this month. My talk title is called Change Your Thought and Keep It Changed, and it's drawn from the inspiration of the reading that John shared from Emmett Fox. And he talks about why people's lives don't change, and it's because we don't keep our thought changed. And we can all relate to this, right? We can say we want something, and then we go just right back into our story. So we're going to look today at some ways that we can start to shift it. So my goal is to help you unblock some of the ways that you might be blocked so that you can change your story and keep it changed. And the reason we want to do that, as John read to us, is that our life itself is an expression of the beingness of God. And when we manifest in our life, we are expressing the beingness of God. So we want to consciously manifest in our life. And I also want to speak to something E.T. mentioned last week when Daryl spoke. He was talking about how sometimes life can feel kind of neutral to us when we're on the spiritual path. Like we think we should just accept what's coming to us. And I want to invite you all into a yes and. Yes, we should accept what's so and appreciate it, and we should be open to more, right? We should be open to more. So let's dive in. So I want to start by reminding you about how the mind works. There's a subconscious mind, the conscious mind, which is our thinking mind, and there's the superconscious mind, which we might call God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what you call it. And our subconscious mind responds. That's what it does. It's our faithful servant. So whatever you impress on the subconscious mind, it manifests. And Florence Scovel Shinn wrote this amazing book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And I'm going to use a lot of examples from Florence Scovel Shinn today. So she talks about how strong the impression on the subconscious mind is. There was a woman who, when she was a young girl, she would always dress as a widow, and she would walk around dressed as a widow. And she grew up, and she got married, and her husband died. And then she continued to dress as a widow. That's how strong the impress on our subconscious mind is. She shared another story, a woman who was wealthy who kept saying, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'd rather live in a trunk. Having too much money, so much money is too much to handle. And she ended up losing everything. And I'm not saying that in a superstitious way, because I really don't want you to be afraid, right, to work with these principles. But we have this silent listener, our subconscious mind, that is always with us. Isaiah said, my word shall not return to me void, but shall accomplish that whereunto it is set. So we know our words and our thoughts have tremendous vibratory power. And the word, I like the way Emmett Fox talks about this, the inner word is our thought. The word in its outer form is our manifestation. So how do we prepare to receive the manifestation, what we want, the mental equivalent that we want to call forth? We want to start by doing an inventory of the thoughts and stories that you're running that are not in alignment with the new story that you're calling in, because your life is really a story that you're writing. You're writing the story of your life. So we want to call in the story we want. So we're going to start with an inventory of what our thoughts and stories are. And then we're going to talk about preparing for success. We're going to talk about watching what we're talking about, watching our conversations. And then we're going to talk about really working with this principle that there is only one power, there is not two powers. So let's talk about the inventory. I'm going to suggest some homework. I'm going to start with homework. So I want you to do a simple inventory this week. I want you to write down the thoughts and the stories that you notice that you are constantly running in your head that are not what you say you want. Just write them down. If you notice you're having a story in your head that you don't want, just write it down. And after you do it for a few days, spend some time with your list and notice, what is the belief underneath that story? Because we all have them, right? We all have areas, if we're honest, where we could call in more good for ourselves, or we get into our habits about like complaining or whatever. So just take a look at it and say, what's the belief that's underneath it? And you know, I want to offer an analogy here. Like if you were designing your perfect home, you would not put things in your perfect home that you don't want, right? You would design your perfect home exactly the way you wanted it. The colors, the space. You would put the furniture in it you liked. You would put all the features, the outdoor space. You'd put everything in your perfect home that you want. You wouldn't put stuff there that you didn't want. And that's what I want you to think about when you think about the story that you're creating. And just to give some examples, you know, let's say I believe people are not trustworthy or you can't count on them. Then how am I playing that out, right? I'm operating in a story of distrust. Or if I believe that I have to work hard for everything that I get, I've had that one in my life, just to be real. Well, is that true? I mean, I'm living that way, but is that true? Is that the story I want to have? So we all have these beliefs and stories, and I just invite you to look at yours. But then I invite you to step into your mental equivalent, your equivalent of the new life or the new aspects of life that you want to call forth, because it doesn't matter if it's just a quality you want to have more of, like peace or harmony or joy or creativity, or if it's a physical manifestation. It really doesn't matter. We want to hold with what we want. Maybe you just want life to be a little easier. Maybe you want to have a great relationship. Maybe you want to live in a beautiful home. But, open your mind, imagine it. What would you be thinking? What would you be feeling? What would the story of your life be if you were that already? What beliefs would you hold? Who would you be being? Who would you be hanging out with? What would be around you? And just picture it. And then write a few affirmations for yourself. Not big, long ones, but just little ones that you can pull yourself back, right? Pull yourself back when you notice you're getting dragged off into whatever that, I don't want to say negative thought, that alternative thought is. Because that's how you embrace a new mental equivalent, is to a little bit at a time just unpack the past so that you can really be in the present moment. So let's talk about preparing for success. Often when we're asking for something, we're preparing for failure. So think about it. One example is, let's say you have a debt that you want to pay off. But the story you're running in your mind is, what are you going to say when you can't pay back the debt? Right? You want to prepare for success. You want to see yourself in the having of what you want to have. You want to hold that. Maybe you want to embrace a new career path in your life, but you're focused in the conversation about why it's too risky or why it can't happen to you or why you're too old. That your consciousness is in failure and limitation instead of saying, I know this is possible for me. I know the way will be made forward to me. Or you want to be in a great relationship, but you spend all your time looking for red flags, I think I was guilty of that for a long time, just to own it, right? Because I was so fearful because of the past. Ted is sitting here laughing his butt off at me because he's known me for a long time. But you have to prepare for what you ask for, even if there is no visible evidence of it. And that's the hard part, isn't it? There might not be any visible evidence. But Florence Scovel Shinn says, one with God is a majority. If you don't like the word God, change it. But one with God is a majority. And she tells the story of a woman who was looking for an apartment in New York at a time when they were very scarce. And this lady says to her friend, I think I'm going to go buy some new comforters and blankets and stuff for my new apartment. And her friend, who was a naysayer, and we all have those in our life, said to her, well, what if you don't get the apartment? But the woman didn't listen to her. She followed her intuition, her lead, and she went and bought these new comforters and blankets, and she got the apartment. She was one of 250 applicants. And it's a simple example, but it's we have to turn off the voice of the naysayer, right? Sometimes it's our own voice, but if you have naysayers in your life, don't share with them what you want. If they don't support you, don't speak it to them. Keep it to yourself. Share it with someone here. They'll be happy to hold it for you. But one with God is a majority, and the way will be made forward whether I can see it or not. Florence Scovel Shinn calls doubts and fears the army of aliens. I love that. But whenever we're going to have a big demonstration in our life, what comes up before it so often? It is all our doubts and fears. It's all the things we're afraid could happen. And we got to kind of muscle through it and continue to declare the truth. But the reason that those doubts and fears come up is because it's Spirit's invitation for you to move beyond those. Has anyone ever had that experience? You're about to have a breakthrough and all your past thinking comes up. It's very, very normal. But we can stay stuck. We could choose to stay stuck in our old subconscious belief about what's possible for us. And we could just listen to that voice, but we really want to focus on making a choice in that moment. And maybe you even want to name that voice of doubt in your head. Give it a funny name. My doubter thinks this isn't possible for me. Just give it a name, and so that you separate yourself from it because it isn't you, right? It's a voice in your head, but it is not you. So I guess one other thing I want to say about this is to really, if you are really struggling to shift that voice, take a look at whether you have an unconscious commitment to things not changing. And what I mean by that is sometimes, we have agreements in our life about how we're going to show up, maybe with our family, or it might be how we think we should be showing up in the world. Like, I think a good example, when I think about it, is it makes me think of a lady that I knew about 20 years ago. She happened to be Mexican, and she was the first person in her family to go to college. And, she actually, I think she went to law school too. She was super, super well educated. And she said to me, she goes, I'm struggling with my family because they don't understand me, right? They think that I should still live in the framework. Her father didn't even speak English. He had come up from Mexico, and he had managed to be up here without speaking English. And how difficult sometimes it is to move beyond that expectation, right? And that's what happens sometimes when we have an unconscious commitment. We're not aware of it, right? Or maybe it's, I'm not supposed to outshine anybody, unconscious commitment probably in my family was to not create waves, right? Like, don't confront everything, don't make waves. So that's what I'm talking about, an unconscious commitment. And that, that song today is perfect about that, like not saying what you really want to say. But we want to come back to our mental equivalent, and we want to stay focused on what we want, and we want to do our work around that. When the Israelites went to the Promised Land, they sat in the desert for 40 years. Why did they sit in the desert for 40 years? Because they weren't ready. They were afraid to go into the Promised Land, because in their minds, they believed that the Promised Land was filled with giants that were going to make them look like grasshoppers. But, sometimes we can be like that in our life too. Like, who will I be if my life changes that much? Right? And so we just want to invite the consciousness that's going to allow us to receive what we are calling forth. And how do we do that? It's with every affirmation, it's with every prayer, it's with every class, it's being in community. You shift your ability to receive the new by every step that you take, every positive action, every meditation. Emmett Fox says, man must ever hold the vision of his journeys and demand manifestation of that which he has already received. It may be perfect health, love, supplies, self-expression, home, or friends. And so being in the energy like, I've already received this. This is already mine. It's already mine. I can feel it as if it's mine. And we also want to use the law of substitution. What does that mean? This or something better. Sometimes we can have our goods so fixed on one particular thing, one particular person, one particular situation. And we want to just allow Spirit to bring us our good. Florence Scovel-Shinn shares a story of a lady who was in love with a man who didn't return her affections. And she prayed with her, and she prayed for divine right relationship. And what began to happen was things started to shift. This woman noticed that she was no longer so obsessed with this guy. And it created the opening for her to let someone else come in. And then she did meet someone who returned her affections, and they got married. So we need to trust that the Spirit which created us is smart enough to create your life and to bring you what you are desiring. Sometimes it's going to look a little different than you think, and that's okay. Sometimes it's even better, but you want to hold the vision, you want to speak the vision, and you want to keep your mind, change your thought, keep it changed. And you want to watch your conversations. It's so easy to be in a conversation about what's wrong, isn't it? We're surrounded by it. You watch the Apple News feed if you have an iPhone. Every single one of those stories, most of them are something that's wrong. So we're surrounded by it. But when we're in the conversation about what's lacking in our life, about what's wrong, then we're not in our mental equivalent. And it's like doing personal voodoo on yourself. It's like cursing yourself, right? When you're in the conversation about what is absent. One of my friends years ago, I've told the story before, I was having all these headaches, and he said to me, you need to decide that you're going to feel better. And he was right? I was spending all my energy on what was wrong. And I notice I do that with my body, just to be real, like, oh, I don't feel good today, right? And then now I'm trying, like, just not to let it grab me when it happens. Like, not letting myself go down that, like, if I just breathe and just let a little spirit in, I'll feel better. So we all have it, right? But there's only one power, and what we're called to practice spiritually is to know that God and I are the majority, that whatever the condition of our life is, that God has the answer to it. God has the answer to every prayer. There's no lack in God. God is source. God is supply. Everything is in God. And you may not see how it's possible, but the way will present itself. One of the other stories, my last story from Florence Scovel Shinn, is she tells a story about the guy who was in debt, and he needed $50,000. He needed $50,000 to pay somebody back. And he calls her the day before, and he's like, I just need this money, and I don't see any way that this is going to happen. And he says, I have to take the train, and if my train's late, I'm not going to get to the bank in time. They're only open till 12. It's a Saturday, and I have to have the money by Monday. And so he goes to the bank, and he gets there 15 minutes before it closes, and he gets the loan with no question. And the reason I share that story, too, is because sometimes someone else can know the truth for us when we cannot know it for ourselves. That is why it is important that you have prayer partners. That's why it's important for all of us to be in community, to be around people who hold for us what we want. That's what practitioners do. So if you find yourself struggling to hold the new mental equivalent, please get prayer, and we have prayer after service. So I want to close. I want to talk about Juneteenth. Yesterday was Juneteenth, the celebration of the end of slavery. And, I know we still have a long way to go in our country with racial equity. But the reason I want to speak about it is because it is the perfect example of people who held a mental equivalent of something different. Abraham Lincoln, all the people who worked on the Underground Railroad, my personal hero, Harriet Tubman, who was a person of faith, who worked tirelessly, not just to end slavery, but also for the rights of all people throughout her lifetime, even though she was not being treated equitably. And it's an important example of how holding something collectively in consciousness can shift something, holding a new mental equivalent collectively. And that's the invitation for us right now in our country, is to hold a new mental equivalent that, people's openness to equity, to inclusion, that it continues to change. And I'm hopeful because of all the work that is being done and all the people who are stepping up as leaders and the openness that I see. But I know we all need to continue to embrace the possibility. And Harriet Tubman said two things that I want to close with in honor of Juneteenth and the great work of so many which continues today for racial equity. The first one, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Isn't that a beautiful quote? And this next one I love because it's a spiritual quote. And if you've seen the movie about her life, you see her walking through the river and praying. This is what she said, I always told the Lord, I trust you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me, and he always did. So let's take that into some prayer. How grateful I am to turn within to this presence and power of God, the presence and power of possibility, the presence and possibility of evolution, creativity, equity, joy, grace, happiness, peace, love. Anything that we might name is within God, because God and I are a majority. And you and God are a majority. Within you is every aspect of spirit, every possibility of spirit. All the love, all the grace, all the creativity, all the joy, all the peace, all the balance. It is all in you, as you, and through you. So from this place of oneness, I just speak a word, knowing that there is a transformation in the consciousness of each and every one of us about what is possible for us. And I just know that we change our thought and we keep it changed, that we allow ourselves to move forward powerfully to something greater, to our greater yet to be, individually and collectively. And I speak my word for our country, just knowing that it continues to open up its thinking, just knowing and claiming equity, inclusion, love, acceptance, joy and peace, harmony, care, compassion. And I speak my word of thanksgiving for all the fathers, whatever they look like, however they showed up. I just bless them, and I know that we are blessed by them. And I give thanks for Cityside, just knowing that as we come together in community, that we are lifted up. And so I say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit, for all of this, for the beautiful faces in this room and online, for all the people who are holding a higher thought for our world, our city, our country. I say thank you. And I give thanks knowing that this prayer is fulfilled now. And with so much gratitude, I simply say, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Amy. You know, as we think of Juneteenth, I think of the idea that so many African Americans over the years, the centuries even, since they first received that news in Texas that they had been freed, they held the idea of freedom and independence, even in the days of Jim Crow and so many other ways where they weren't still really free. So I imagine if they can hold that idea, and it's unfolding still today, that I can have these higher ideas that I can hold to in my life. So we turn now to our offering. Cityside is a community-supported organization, and each week we practice conscious giving to support Cityside in creating the space and experience of us coming together in community. You know, many of us refer to Cityside as our spiritual home. I know I certainly do. And I have this other home, right? A physical home that I share with my husband and our two crazy dogs. We launched the two crazy children. They're not so crazy, sorry guys. And I take care of that physical home because it's the place of safety and security and belonging. And in the same way, I support Cityside financially because it's where I feel safe and secure and I belong spiritually. So that's why support Cityside, and I know each of you has your own reason for doing that, but we really appreciate all that you do, because everything that we do here is supported through the community. And we make it so easy for you to contribute and support us. You can find 4 easy ways to give by going to the giving page of our website. You can make a one-time gift electronically. You can set up recurring giving. Or you can make a request to receive the address so that you can give by mail. Probably the most popular ways to text to give. If you text the word GIVE to 312-757-8111, you will receive instructions to get set up if this is your first time. Then in the future, you will just need to text the amount to 312-757-8111. So now please join me in our giving affirmation as we bless our gifts. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am.
Not going back, I'm moving ahead, here to declare to you, my past is over in you. All things are made new. Surrender my life to you. I'm moving forward. Oh, said I'm moving forward. Said I'm, you make all things new. Yes, you make all things new, and I will follow you forward. Say you make all things new. Yes, you make all things new, and I will follow you forward.
If you are joining us for the first time today, we want to welcome you and thank you for blessing us with your presence. Please use the subscribe button on the header of our website to join our mailing list. We would love to stay connected with you. If you consider Cityside your spiritual home, we would love to have you affirm your membership by going to the My Cityside page of the website. There you can read more about membership and fill out the membership form. And just a reminder to those watching at home, we are fully reopened and you no longer need a reservation. And you don't have to wear a mask in this room. I guess you have to wear the mask in the building, but not in this room, and so it's up to you if you want to wear one or not. And we know that people have varying degrees of comfort about kind of moving back into normal life. So know that we're here and we're safe, and you can, if you do feel comfortable, we'd love to see you. Special thanks to our creative team for making today's service possible. Keith, Dom, Greg, Tiff, John, Krista, Ted, and Reverend Amy, of course. Next week we celebrate Pride, so put on your colors and join us as Reverend Linda continues our June theme, Divine Reciprocity, strengthening your use of mental equivalence. And finally, don't leave with anything heavy on your heart. If you need prayer support and are here today, please find John to receive some prayer. Online, you can request prayer on our website under the support tab. You can fill out a written request and a practitioner will pray over, or you can request a prayer call, and a practitioner will call and pray with you. So until next week, Sunday, or Cityside, have a wonderful Sunday, have a great week, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Reverend Judy. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road, and all this wave is stringing us along. Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons that fill you with fear. That's right. The trouble, it might drag you down. If you get lost, I know you can be found. Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home. That's right, come on. Ooh, Greg Woods. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. So the trouble, it might drag you down. If you get lost, you can always be found. Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. Happy Father's Day, happy Sunday. Greg Woods on piano today. Thank you, Reverend Amy, John and Reverend Judy. E.T. always out there somewhere holds things down for us. Keith and Dom. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic Sunday. Blessings.